This is the Women of Wonder podcast, where we help women tap into their superpowers. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Women of Wonder podcast. I'm here with the amazing Jenna Herbut. Jenna, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Nisha. Very excited to be here.
I am so excited for this interview, this conversation. Jenna is an amazing business person, a fantastic mom, a great human, a wonderful friend. And I just want to say, and a great community builder. I want to say, I appreciate you for all the things that you're doing. And I would love for you to share with our audience a little bit about yourself. Who is Jenna?
Well, thank you so much, Nisha. And I feel the same way about you. I've been an entrepreneur for a long, long time. It's something that's just always made sense to me. And back even when I was a little kid, I remember my brother and I setting up lemonade stands, and we lived on a golf course. So we'd collect golf balls that were hidden to the forest and resell them to the golfers. So that idea of turning an idea into reality was something that was with me from a very, very young age. And it's just been really amazing to be able to still do that. And I actually started my first company when I was still a student in university. So I would be a terrible employee if I ever went back into the workforce, because I've been an entrepreneur through and through pretty much my entire life.
Yeah, I think your actual first business was when you were 11 and your brother Chandler was 9. We're good friends with Chandler as well, with your brother. And so you were selling bookmarks door to door?
Yes, we sold bookmark. We had a bookmark business. And it's so funny how these ideas just came to us and we just did them. And I think our parents were supportive and also a little embarrassed, their kids going door to door. But they were, my dad's an entrepreneur, so I think they were quite supportive.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so growing up, you had this example, because growing up myself, I did not have this example of being an entrepreneur. It was okay, but you're starting to see this is something that I wanted to do. But I think it's, even though you had the example, you felt that desire within you.
I really did. Yeah. When you trace back to the early days, I definitely had that feeling of wanting to turn that idea into reality. And the first company I started, first real company, was when I was in university, and I had a line of belts called Booty Belts.
Ooh, good
and it
name.
was, early 2000s, and Booty Belts with a Z. And
I'm picturing this, Booty Belts.
They were these scarf belts. They worked really well with the low-rise jeans.
Ooh.
And it was something I did for one of my projects at the University of Alberta. Oh. And then I just decided to launch into it. And
wow.
It was one of those things that my parents were like, what the heck are you doing making these booty belts in our basement? Go get a real job. I was just so determined, and I still tap into that feeling of excitement. And, it's hard to recapture even now, that full immersion of the excitement that happens when you sell something and you actually make money from it.
You write in your book, this is a book Jenna wrote, Make It Happen. It's amazing, The Creative Entrepreneur's Guide to Transforming Your Dreams into Reality, and really inspiring. And in your book, you actually write about that combination of excitement and terrifying, excitifying.
Excitify, yes. It was just this idea and this concept, because every time you do something new or you're pushing the edge of an experience you haven't had before, almost always it's equal parts exciting and terrifying. Mm-hmm. And it's what feeling you're leaning more into. And, the positive side is the excitement, and the fear, and the negative side is that just feeling sheer terror. And so I try to be conscious of that feeling of, it's a combo. It's a cocktail of, imposter syndrome and not knowing what you're doing, and just to know that's all part of it. And it's okay to feel those things. And I feel the growth of an entrepreneur is just expanding your bandwidth to be able to hold space for those feelings that maybe don't always feel the best.
Don't always feel the best. And I love that you bring up that imposter syndrome. And I think as entrepreneurs, or even female entrepreneurs, that can come up often, right? Of am I the right one to do this? Should I be doing this? Is it going to be successful? And so you have built multiple businesses. And what is it that helps get you through that when that feeling comes in of like that imposter syndrome?
Well, you mentioned community, and I would say community is one of those things that it's sort of the balm that helps just soothe the pain of what the heck am I doing? And I'm just
Balm, like BALM.
Yeah,
not the other one.
a salve, you could call it.
Salve.
Yeah, just that, that feeling of, wow, I'm not alone, and others can share in this uncertainty and this excitifying feeling. So I really do feel the older I get to just be conscious of who I'm surrounding myself with, and having, groups like Women of Wonder is just so incredible, and just what we're building at Conscious Lab as well, because the more like-minded people you're surrounded with, it just doesn't feel as scary.
Yes, this is it. And that's exactly why we've started Women of Wonder. It's to find your tribe and to find the people that, open hearts, open souls, but also want to live their best life. And how do we come together and grow and support each other and learn and have fun, all at the same time? Because you probably have gone through this entrepreneurial journey, maybe at times feeling alone. And feeling alone is fine. It's fine to be alone, but it's also great to have a community. And you have your community at Conscious Labs, and I love it and I support it, and it's so beautiful. And then we have our community at Women of Wonder, and we were talking about this the other night at a Women of Wonder event, that it's so amazing because we're coming together and we're supporting each other. We're showing up for each other's things.
Totally.
And that is cool. And we're showing up with full energy and love. So grateful. I think it doesn't get better than that.
I
very
agree.
special.
I agree. And I feel the future is true collaboration. Yes. And that's something we've maybe known in our minds for a while, but now we're really feeling into it in our bodies. And when you can collaborate from a deeper place and a place of deep resonance, it's just incredible how much faster and how much bigger. Because I feel like this work now, it truly is important. And entrepreneurship, when I first started, a long time ago, it felt, even what I was learning in business school, it was all about the bottom line and the KPIs and all these metrics that now I feel are still important. You need that masculine side, but the more feminine, that empathy and that more heartfelt emotion of wanting to create a better place is becoming more forefront, and it's becoming the most important metric.
Oh, it's such a beautiful statement, because we can be going forward in life and thinking, I think you're right. We're taught that how much money are you making, and are you making money? And if you're not, just ditch it, right? Yeah. And I love that there's this new way of going forward, that it's about, but what are we doing for the world? What are we doing for ourselves? How are we growing and learning, and how are we coming together, and what difference is it making in the world? Are we conscious? Do we care? What impact are we having?
Yeah.
And that is the new change. That is a new way of being. And so how did you step into this? Because, I love it. I feel it. But when did you start to notice that there was this other side to entrepreneurship, this conscious side?
That's a really good question. I feel like I always knew. Yeah. And even when I was in business school, I was a little bit of a misfit.
Ooh.
I didn't feel like I totally fit. I came from a performing arts background. I was really into dance and theater and acting. And my parents, being more conservative, or go to business school, get a real job, which I never did. So, but I sort of approached it from a different way. And when I started Booty Belts and then later Make It, I felt I was doing a lot of things wrong because they were unconventional. Like I would take full days off just to like get back into my body and just be quiet and just allow ideas to come. I spend a lot of time in the bathtub.
It's my favorite place to be. I love the bathtub.
Oh my God. It's so, and meditation was always a big part of my life, and yoga and all these modalities, like all these spiritual modalities have always been, even since I was young. And so I felt like I was doing a lot of things wrong just compared to what I was learning in business school and then later being part of entrepreneur groups. Like I just felt like, oh, I'm just kind of a lousy entrepreneur. But now I'm like, oh, I was kind of doing it right all along.
Yay.
So it's this unlearning of these programs that we get of how it should and shouldn't be. And with Conscious Lab, it was a space I walked into. My friend Ashley Ray was running her business Mala Collective out of it. And
also an amazing entrepreneur.
also a very amazing entrepreneur who I've known for a long, long time. And the space just spoke to me. There was just a feeling that came over me when I walked in. And at the time, she was trying to get out of her lease. So it was very, very convenient.
Perfect. It's meant to be.
Very meant to be. And at first, I really didn't know what I was doing with the space. It was the office for Make It, which is a large...
Tell us about Make It.
Yeah,
Make It's a very cool company.
Little aside. Yeah. Well, this is year 15 for Make It. So Make
Wow.
It is an annual event that happens in Vancouver. We support artists and makers. So they get a booth at our show and then we market it to the public. So we have anywhere from 250 to 275 vendors, and we get about 20,000 people out to the P&E.
Huge.
We used to do shows in Alberta. We used to do 7 shows a year, and then we scaled back to 1
Great.
After COVID. And that's kind of its own story about scaling back a business, cutting off the dead weight. But that really allowed me to focus into Conscious Lab. Conscious Lab, when I took over the space 6 years ago, I was able to get the domain, I was able to get the social media. And of course, I thought I was spelling conscious wrong. There's lots of vowels in there. But it just
double check. Is this right every time?
Available. What is going on?
It's like meant to be.
Right? And it just shows how now we've shifted so much where Conscious Lab people are really intrigued by the name, and it's really taken on a life of its own. It's an event space, and I feel that's just the beginning. There's an evolution happening.
Like when you walk into Conscious Lab, it's beautiful and it's welcoming and it's warm and enveloping. And we've had Women of Wonder events there, and it's just so, you just feel very connected and peaceful. And I think it's something, we need these kinds of places where you walk in and you feel like, yes, this is where I want to be. And you're a big part of that, of creating, that feeling. And so tell us about what was it like? What is it like for you to be in something and the people that you're welcoming into your space? It's very personal too, I think.
Yes, it is. It is. And it feels amazing. The space itself does a lot of the work. It's over 130 years old. So I feel like there's just something that happens when you have original fir floors and original bricks and just vibrationally what has been absorbed, because we've had so many incredible meditation, breath work, ecstatic dance events, and just weddings, even just like what gets absorbed energetically into the space. And I do feel like now is the time that it's really taken on this life force of its own. And it's taken a little while, but now, being in this post-pandemic world, people really need each other, and they need spaces where they feel psychologically safe and they can express themselves in maybe a way that they can't anywhere else. So I feel a deep responsibility to get this right.
No pressure.
Not that I want to
Jenna.
put too much pressure on myself, but I feel like that calling, Make It. I'm so proud of it, and everyone we've served. It's an amazing business. Conscious Lab feels a little bit different. It feels more, I don't know, it just feels so needed right now. I have a sense of urgency of okay, we gotta get rolling, because I feel like we're in this crisis moment right now where people are suffering.
People are suffering. There are mental health challenges. People are lonely. People don't know who to reach out to. And also, we talk about people don't even know how to be authentic. And so then if you're not tapped into who you are, how do you connect with others in a real way to create deeper connection and meaning? Right? So if we don't know how to do that, or we don't have things that are showing us how to do that, then we're going to continue on that like very siloed path.
Yeah.
But like when we have things like the events that you're bringing together and hosting at Conscious Labs, then we have moments or glimpses of like uplift.
I think it's a remembering of who we truly are. And right now we're living in dual realities with our phones and with social media. And I feel like we're so in it right now. It was probably what smoking was 50 years ago when doctors were smoking and people are smoking on airplanes. Like I'm sure there were some people who are like, hey guys, I don't know if this is the best idea.
In our schools, our teachers would smoke in the staff room.
So it just like blows my mind. And now if you see someone smoking, it's kind of weird.
Like
if I saw you light up a cigarette, I'd be like, Nisha, what are you doing?
Like, you don't mind, do you, Jenna?
I mean, I kind of would.
You'd be like, I think this
podcast is over.
This podcast's over. Open a window.
So I feel like we might be in that now, where this feeling of living in two worlds, I don't know if it's how we're meant to live.
It's interesting. I felt like that time of the pandemic that I felt like, okay, things are going two ways. There are humans doing some deep work and like elevating, and some aren't. And that's okay. It just depends on where you're at in this stage, in this lifetime. But there are the people that are like, I want to live this life, a conscious life, and I want to do everything I can to rise up the vibrations of myself and of those around me.
Oh, yeah.
And of the earth and, of humanity.
It's the most important thing we can do right now.
That's it.
Because we can create, I believe we can create heaven on earth.
Yes. Heaven on earth.
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? We have all the resources. We have all
Everything.
and it's really what you said was so beautiful. It's raising that frequency. And then I have a very wise friend, and I don't fully understand. His name's Rob Baines, and he does frequency meditation. And it's surrendering of who we are in this moment is tapping into that frequency of our higher self. And that's remembering, like, all we have is right now. And as an entrepreneur, that's where Conscious Lab has been a different type of business for me. Another wise friend, when I first took over the lease, I was frustrated because I had all these big ideas and I wanted to create a schedule and a program and all this stuff. and I was kind of sharing with her all these things. And she's like, Jenna, why don't you just let the space tell you what it is?
Ooh, right.
And at first I'm like, that's terrible advice.
You're like, what is she talking about?
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get it.
What are you saying?
But now I realize it's like, whoa, there's so much that just comes when we're just present and we're quiet and we're not trying to do all the things. And all these little divine moments. And what happens when you raise your frequency, the people that surround you, like you're a very high frequency person. So I feel so honored to be here because whenever I'm in your presence, I get a little lift. I feel buzzy. And it's like, and just what you created here in your home a few nights ago, it was electric. And that's how we collectively rise. Because to do it on your own takes a hell of a lot of discipline and a lot of work. It's so much easier if you just bring all the people together and then that radiates out. And that's really the most important work we can do right now in our business and our lives as mothers, as just humans. So that's the game I want to play.
That's a game I'm into as well. Like, high five to that. And that's what we're in for. Like, it's interesting because we have obviously lived different parts of our life where, okay, we're doing the work and a lot of people are working. But I think the message is you can do the work that also helps lift your soul and makes the world a better place. Like, you can choose, like, to make heaven on earth. It's just to say, oh yeah, I have choices I can make. And they don't have to be just what society tells me, this is the best job for the top dollar and this is how you like earn respect. No, there's so many things you can do. Just kind of imagine what it is that you want to do that makes you feel good.
Yes.
And that's probably what your purpose, what you're meant to do. And that's like how it'll just go into flow. when we're just flowing. And like, obviously I'm guessing with conscious thoughts, like I can tell, I can see, I can feel it.
Yeah.
You're in flow. And we're not saying it's easy, right? It's not like doesn't come without challenges, right?
And it doesn't mean bad stuff doesn't happen. Like I had 3 break-ins in July. I took over the other side of the space, so now I have the whole floor, which is super exciting. And I think someone cased the joint and just hit me 3 times in a row.
3 times.
And it was really, really hard. And I thought, what the F am I even doing? But that also is just information back of like, okay, I have to be more mindful of who's coming in here and probably get more active in saging the place and just creating that.
Yes.
So it's not taking on the story of what something could be. And that's the work.
Yeah.
It's just the feedback of like, okay, there's something that needs to be done. We probably need some added security here, which we have done.
Good.
So
good.
yeah, to me, that's the work. It doesn't mean like it's a cakewalk and you're just floating, la da da.
No.
It is that expanded consciousness and awareness.
Yeah. And so when you come across these challenges, right, in which we all do, and there's going to be, up and down in this like conscious entrepreneurial life and in life in general, what is it that like helps you be resilient and strengthens you to keep going?
It's all simple stuff. It's getting back into my body and just stretching and breathing. Like I'm always reminded the power of the breath. And I'm such a big believer in breath work. And I really believe it's going to change the world the more we can just be conscious of our breathing. But it doesn't always mean I remember to do it or I'm that disciplined. Like I'm still a human and I got lazy or and I got busy. But that really, it makes such a profound, just taking care of my body. And conversations like this are just life-giving too. So it's that remembering of the being and the doing and how they work together, but how you can't do one or the other.
Right.
It has to be both and.
If you just go for it and push so hard that's everything. No, that's not the lesson.
No.
The lesson is like self-care, self-love, care for self. Then you can go and care for others.
And this is the more feminine way of doing things because we've all heard the burnout story and I love entrepreneurial stories. And they usually are told in the masculine way of just, grind it out, work hard, hit a wall, get a disease, and then get enlightened and then do it differently. But that is just that hero's journey that we hear over and over again. But I feel like we can do it differently. But it doesn't mean, like it takes a lot of deprogramming.
Serious deprogramming, like, yes, getting sick. I feel like I've faced this burnout many times. Like, just how many times do I need to learn this lesson over and over? But grateful that I get the opportunity to do this work to have awareness that, like, oh, wait, okay, I think I'm getting a message here. There's something I need to do different. And like, let's even talk about, successful entrepreneur. However, also like many other things in your life, like daughter and sister and wife, mother, all these important roles and how that comes into play. And I don't even want to say balance, like if there's such a thing, it's hard. But so how does that feel amidst all of it?
Yeah, women definitely have a lot of roles these days. And probably more than ever before, at least in recent history. And our mothers don't really have the knowledge to pass down to us on this because they didn't experience it. And I feel balance. I've heard over and over again, balance isn't real, but I don't know if I believe that. I feel like we're nature's based on balance, but we all have a set point internally. And some people have really, really expansive bandwidth and they can go. Like you seem like someone who has a pretty large breadth of bandwidth. And so you do a lot of things. And I'm the same way. I can do a lot of things and that's okay. But
should we?
What should we? Exactly. And we shouldn't compare ourselves to others. And I feel like that's the dark side of social media because you feel like a loser sometimes when you're on there seeing all these people. It can be inspiring and it can be really demotivating and really dangerous. So I feel like it's different for everyone. And when you hit that balance, damn, it feels good to be an awesome mom, to have a business, to have a wonderful relationship, to have great friends. Like that feels really, really good. And it might not feel that way every day.
No.
And it's not beating ourselves up if it doesn't.
100%. I love that. Like hosting a Women of Wonder event the other 2 days ago, yesterday, pretty much in bed most of the day, watching movies, eating all the junk food. Not junk food, but, junk food.
Snacks.
Snacks, lots of snacks, no real meals. And then today, like, stepping back into like, I get to have this amazing conversation with Jenna, and it's going to be, about things that matter to us and our heart, and like knowing that this is energizing in a beautiful way. So it's kind of like we have to even look at like planning our days that we're going to have like up and down and around and everywhere. And then taking a moment, taking a bath, taking a breath.
Totally. And maybe that becomes your spa day.
Yes.
The day after Women of Wonder, just scheduling that in. Like you have a little spa day and you don't plan anything.
Yes.
And all of it is just lessons and feedback, and it's refinement. And I really don't believe it ever gets perfect, because how boring would that be? And I like to think of it, and I wrote about this in my book, it's a spiral up or it's a spiral down, and it's all just based on momentum. Like it's based on physics. And what's the hardest part is when you're spiraling down to reverse and get that moment. Like that's the hardest part, because spiraling up can be, but what happens if you get too high? That can be freaky. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's really high up here. I could fall down and really hurt myself.
Yes.
And that's where, again, community and just having those role models and having mentors that can make you realize like, oh no, there's other people up here. Hello. Hi, you're up here in the clouds too. This is kind of fun, and we can support each other, because being up high by yourself, like no fun.
No fun. It's like so amazing, because even coming in today and saying like, I've been on a high, and you're like you were actually the one that said that. I was like, I just felt a lot of energy, and I was like pumped up, and I couldn't sleep. And you're like, I think you were on a high. And I'm like, you're right. Like you helping me see that. Oh, okay. Thanks, Jenna. That kind of puts it into context. Otherwise, it's a little confusing. Okay, now I can put it. You felt that. Oh, so what do you do when you're there? Oh, that would help me. And so that sense of community is everything. Like I'm realizing, before I used to think, just do everything on your own. Like we're independent humans. Let's do everything on our own. Doing it together is so powerful. And also, it's way more fun.
Way more fun. And that's how we're hardwired. We just forget, because now, I live downtown. So we live in these little boxes, and we're all, in the elevator. Heaven forbid someone says hi because you're on your phone.
Oh my God, don't talk to me.
It's so weird. I'm usually the weird one. I'm like, hi. People are like, oh, hi.
Oh, hey.
Oh, another human being. But like this tribal community, that's why it feels so damn good when we're in it, because all our little cells in our bodies wake up. It's like, oh yeah, this feels good.
Like real happiness.
Real happiness, because you don't get that on your phone or on your computer, or even, I believe, through Zoom.
Yes, it's different.
We need bodies and spaces. And you mentioned authenticity, remembering how to be authentic.
Like, who am I? What makes me happy? And, like eye contact and like,
which you're very good at. You're very good at eye contact.
Staring.
Because it just feels very comfortable with you. Yeah, I love it.
Oh my God, stare at each other. But it's like seeing each other.
Yes, seeing each other.
Understanding each other. It can be very connecting. And like, what do you feel is like calling you now? Like, what are, Conscious Labs is beautiful, and you're creating it. And like, I know as an entrepreneur, you're constantly thinking of new things and evolving. And so what's on the horizon in Jenna's world now?
Well, it's very excitifying.
Excitifying, I love it.
I blurted out to a friend recently, a friend who's also a really big thinker, that I was going to open up 100 Conscious Lab. And I just said it because I was reading this book called 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan, which I highly recommend. And it's on the premise that 10Xing is easier because you're not linearly thinking about your dream. It's quantum. Because 100 Conscious Labs, holy shit, like, I don't know how it do it. I need like an army of people to help me, right?
Yes.
But then it goes into the who, not how, which I love, because to 2x, that would mean opening a second conscious lab. Like it would be grinding, grit, force, pushing, all those things. But when you can expand your vision and bring in other people, then it becomes a lot easier in a lot of ways. But again, you go up really, really high. So that's the scary part. It's like, even we were living temporarily in a penthouse downtown. I remember I'm like, it feels kind of uneasy up here. Like you just look down and you feel like you're so high up, but it's getting used to that and realizing like it's okay, and then readjusting your nervous system. And so
Amazing.
let's open up lots of conscious labs and
like
more women
lots
of wonder,
of conscious
and
lab and women of wonder.
combine them
Combine
together,
them.
because I feel like this siloed approach to entrepreneurship doesn't really serve. And like, oh, Nisha, we're competitors. We're both doing these things for like awesome ladies. Like it's so dumb. Like we can just come together and pool our resources, and that's something new for female entrepreneurs. The men have been doing that for years. That's on the golf course, smoking cigars, blah blah blah. They've been doing it, but for women to really redefine sisterhood and how we can collectively pool our resources, and more for you means more for me.
Yes, I 100% believe in that. There's an abundance in the world. If you have does not mean that I don't have. If you have, that means, yay, I'm so happy for you, and let's continue to create.
Yeah.
Right? And so more together, more abundance, and then also, if you feel good and I'm around you, I'm going to feel good too. Right? That we mutual, I call it like reciprocal relationships. We like give and take, give and take.
Totally.
And it doesn't mean it's equal all the time. It just means at different times we can give and take.
100%.
And like rise together. And so when you say Conscious Labs 100, amazing. Like, yes, and I believe in you and I know you can do it and I'm here to support you.
Thank you.
Right? And I want to be part of it. I want to, because I see the excitement and the energy. And so it's like also this interesting perspective that, okay, so you're adding 1 + 1 would be 2, or if you add 1 + 99 is 100, but you're still going to have like one accounting department. You're still going to have like one, like, so that it's like those kinds of things actually, it makes sense.
Totally.
Like, why not?
Why not? Right?
Why not?
Yeah.
And even in your book, like you're talking about dreaming. Like, why do we hold ourselves back? Why do we play small? Why not go bigger? And you're thinking big.
Yeah.
Love it.
And I think we always want to be realistic. Like, oh, we got to be realistic in our planning. But no, that's not what dreaming's about.
No.
Dreaming's bypassing that rationality. Yeah. And that's where I really love Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. And that's what she always teaches is, for her, it's such a spiritual journey, and she's really led with intuition and just feeling into it. And she's built $1 billion company with 4 young children. And so
Amazing.
These possibilities can be ours if we just allow that vision to get strong enough and have others to remind us, because it can get really dark and lonely, at least in my own head, if 100%. I'm just, hanging out in the bathtub too much by myself.
And you're like, should I do this?
Am I crazy?
What am I doing?
Yeah, of course. It's gutting out and just having that positive reinforcement is everything.
It's like, or like cheering each other on.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you can do it, and celebrating and being like, I believe in you and I believe in us and we can do it. And that vision of heaven on earth, like, yes, I'm going to like keep that in my heart as I go forward now.
I'll make us a t-shirt.
Yes, a t-shirt.
We live in heaven on earth.
Creating heaven on earth.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
why not?
Yeah.
Because what are the alternatives, right? It's like, we have the choice. And so what are we choosing? Choose celebration, choose happiness, choose fun.
Totally.
Right? And I'm just so grateful to be connected to you and to learn from you and to grow with you. And I feel like us coming together and like talking about these things and then taking action on them and supporting each other, like, this is what we're here for. This is the new reality.
It is, and how quickly it can happen too. Because you and I haven't even known each other less than a year, really.
It's
but
wild.
we feel, and so that's what happens too when you start to align more in yourself and more to your higher self. Just the people that come in, and it feels that familiarity, and it just feels good. It doesn't mean every day will be perfect, but at least you can go back to that set point. It's like working out. Once you get that baseline, it's easy to get back to it.
Right. Yeah. And like making choices based on, okay, wait, what is my, what's my North Star? What's guiding me? What is important? What are my values? What does it come down to? And so love this, love our conversation. I don't want it to end. Literally, I could talk for 5 more hours with you.
Maybe we need to co-write a book, Nisha.
We should co-write a book. Oh my God, I've been wanting to write a book. I love it. And like you can get this book on Amazon, Indigo.
Yeah, bookstores.
Bookstores.
And if they don't have it, just tell them they need to get it.
Yeah, see? That's great. Putting it out there. And so before we wrap, Jenna, is there anything else that you'd like to share, or any words of wisdom or thoughts or feelings?
Oh, yeah. What feels true for me now is just allow that guiding force, that resonant feeling to be at the forefront, and more of that. Like the more you allow something to be resonant in your heart and your energy, just even day by day, moment by moment, if you just really don't feel like answering emails and being stuck in front of your computer, just don't do that. No one's going to really care. Like it's fine if you answer it the next day. But I feel like just being aware of what feels good as opposed to what your brain is hijacking you into feeling like you should do. So the more you can pay attention and expand that space, just having that pause, notice, and choose, I think it just gets easier and easier.
Pause, notice, and choose. It's beautiful, brilliant. Just like you. Thank you, Jenna. Big hugs. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Thank you. This is amazing.
Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you for joining us on Women of Wonder. Much love to everyone.